morning. Good morning. Lovely to welcome you all back. I always like doing the first assemblies after a break. I hope you had a lovely break. I hope that you, whatever it is you did, festive or not, spend time with your family, friends, just relaxed, but also stay focused. And I have to say, when I went around the school Monday morning, I went into pretty much every single classroom, really impressed with how you've all come back to school with yourselves, focus and straight back into it and want to learn and work and sort of behaviour and things around the corridors. I've been very impressed, so thank you very much for that. Since the start of our third half term, okay, so really it feels like we're a third of the way through the year after one half term, but actually that first half term is the longest. It's an 8-week and a 7-week. None of the other half terms are that long. So even though you're at the end of the first half term, you're actually quite a long way through this school year. So hopefully you're feeling that, hopefully you've learned plenty, plenty more time now than some before you get on to things like your key assessments. And for you in particular, over the course of this next term, is really concentrating in those options lessons, in those subjects that you're going to have a choice about. Because later this year, so just around about the end of this term, you're going to get a chance to start to take your options, so you'll know what you'll be studying in years 10 and 11. Really good, really important year for you. So welcome back, lovely to see you all. Lovely to see you all back in the swing of things as well. I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about today. You know I'm going to mention one of the core values at least, in case see if you can spot it coming, because the first thing I want to talk to you about is that you may have seen that over the weekend, not the wolf, you wouldn't have seen the wolf, but you might have seen the moon, okay, over the weekend. So it was over the course of sort of Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. Certainly in the early hours of the morning. So if you were up, and I'm sure you all were at 6:30 on Saturday and Sunday morning, up at 6:30, nice and bright, getting ready to come to school. If you were, you'd have seen the moon. It's really impressive in the mornings in particular, but also on the evening, any time overnight. It's nicknamed the wolf moon. And it's a moon that happens sort of every now and again, so it's not all the time. This year it actually happened, we had 3 months in a row, so it happened in sort of November, December, January. And it's a point where we have a full moon, but it's at a point when the moon's the closest to the Earth. Okay, so it appears an awful lot bigger. Because our moon actually has an elliptical orbit. It's not round, so there's sometimes when it's a bit closer. And occasionally you get these moons where the moon's slightly closer to us in the northern hemisphere, and it's a full moon. And we had that just over the weekend. It's very, very impressive because it looks huge to the naked eye. When you look at it, it looks massive. It appears around about 14% bigger. And the reason for that is on this elliptical orbit you have, I'm hoping I get this the right way around, I'm going to have a look, I'm going to check my notes. You have the apogee and the perigee. Okay? So the perigee is when it's closest to the Earth, and it's about 226,000 miles away at that point, which is really close. When it's in the apogee, when it's further away, it's about 252,000 miles away. So that extra 26,000 miles makes a lot of difference. And just to put that into context, if you were to get on the bus to the moon, and you were to travel at 60 miles an hour all the way, it would take you 166 days to get there. So coming up towards half a year. Unless you're on the 846, and it would take about 4 years, but we'll get that sorted. So, there's the moon at its closest point and it's full. It's about 40% bigger and about 30% brighter than the naked eye. It was particularly impressive on Saturday morning when the snow had been, on Saturday and Sunday really, because it reflected off the snow. It was really bright, even though it was night and it was dark. It was really, really bright because of that. So hopefully you got a chance to see that real sort of celestial display for you there. That's a picture of it up over Gateshead. One of the other things that happened this year, and this year in particular, it was more impressive than usual, because it also was very, very close to what's called the winter solstice, okay, which just happens right at the end of December. And in the winter solstice, the moon's at its highest point as well. So not only did we have a bigger moon, a brighter moon, we also had it higher in the sky than it usually is when it's full. So it was a particularly impressive display. We also got that, if you just look there down at the bottom left, that what looks like a star, that's actually Jupiter, the planet Jupiter. So we had the moon in close proximity to Jupiter in the sky. This wonderful celestial event. We won't see anything like this. We'll get another harvest moon in sort of November next year, or this year. But this sort of thing, we won't see anything like that for quite a number of years to come yet. Jupiter, by the way, that what looks like a tiny little star there, is the biggest planet in our solar system. And it's 365 million miles away. I don't think your bus would get there. Certainly in all of our lifetimes added together, you wouldn't be able to travel to Jupiter. Okay? So it was a really impressive time. There's a lot of legends and myths around the moon. So there it is, I've left the moon on there. We've got that one there. So if you've heard of this. But there's this idea that the moon, the full moon, is linked to lunacy, to madness. Okay, the word lunacy and lunatic come from the word lunar, which means moon. It's this idea that we are somehow all a bit crazy, and we all behave differently when the moon is full. There's no scientific fact for this. There are no more people in sort of section. There's no particularly worse behaviour at this point. But we still have this overriding idea that the moon makes madness, the full moon. Babies. There's this sort of myth that more babies are born during the full moon. So if a woman's pregnant, she's more likely to give birth when the moon's full. Again, there's no empirical data for this. There's nothing to suggest that does happen. But there's still this myth, this legend that prevails. That there is Selena. Selena is a Greek goddess. This one is true, by the way. This is actual fact. So every night, Selena gets her silver chariot and her silver horses, and she chains the moon to them, and she rides across the sky, pulling the moon up. If it wasn't for Selena, we wouldn't have the moon. That is a fact. Maybe, probably isn't actually. I'd love to think it was. Okay? So that ancient Greek legend is how the moon gets there. Werewolves. I was really disappointed actually when I looked up the werewolf legends and the full moon. So whilst lycanthropes, the idea of werewolves has been around for a long, long time, the idea of linking them to a full moon is actually quite recent. It's actually cinema that's done that. So prior to cinema, you never really had the werewolves linked to the full moon. So that's a kind of a 20th century invention, that when there's a full moon, you all turn to werewolves. So hopefully none of you were running around as werewolves over the weekend in the full moon. Hopefully you all perfectly fine and don't have that affliction. Apparently the moon, it's called, some people can change how tall you are because of its gravitational pull. So depending on whether it's full and how close the Earth is. So I always measure myself during the full moon because then I can pretend I'm average height. Because when it's not full, I'm shorter, apparently. That's not true. It's actually a misunderstanding. It's a scientific misunderstanding as to how gravity works on smaller objects. It would be lovely to think we were all a bit taller last weekend when the moon was full. Now this is an important one for you as students. That is Thoth. Okay? Thoth is an ancient Egyptian god or goddess. Okay? And Thoth is the god of knowledge, wisdom, and magic. And Thoth is also the deity of the moon. Okay? So you can see that sort of hat on Thoth's head, that symbolises the moon. So last weekend, when the moon was at its fullest, hopefully you as students were all doing some sort of sacrifice, some sort of praying to Thoth, making sure that Thoth grants you with knowledge and wisdom, because obviously that is the best way to be successful in school, is to pray to the moon and pray to Thoth, and that'll make you intelligent, and then you'll all be fine and pass all your exams. Okay? On the off chance that that isn't true, can I suggest that we maybe focus on our lessons, listen to our teachers and do revision when exams come? I think that's probably a better way of getting wisdom than praying to Thoth when the moon's full. But it's just a thought. Okay. Now as I was looking up the moon, I found about this. This is, and I had heard about this before, this is a space program, the Artemis space program from NASA in America. And there were 4 astronauts who were going to head to the moon. It's going to be It's the first manned mission, or manned boat, there's female astronauts, or the first sort of human mission to the moon in over 50 years. Okay, we haven't been there since the 70s. And it's a really, really important mission, a really exciting mission. Because what they're looking to do is they're looking to sort of circumnavigate the moon, get really close, take a lot of readings, and come back with all that information. And the idea is that this is going to lead, hopefully within your lifetimes, to people being able to colonise the moon. Okay? People actually going to live there. You might, before the end of your life, be able to go and have a little holiday on the moon. Okay? Travel there. Go and have a little city break, or whatever the moon is. People are looking for the human race to be able to live there. And that's part of an even longer project to eventually look to see if we can colonise Mars. Okay? So that's really exciting, and that's happening. That was due to happen last year. It didn't for various reasons. They're looking this year, it's either going to happen in February or April, they're hoping. This year. Okay, so look out for that. There's the astronauts, who are going up there. And behind them is their space pod. And that space doesn't look like much, does it? Looks like a bit of tin foil with a few wires. Looks like something that a year 7 students made in the DT lab. But that is their pod. They're going to be inside that, travelling at thousands of miles an hour in space in that sort of pod there. That pod does sit inside the larger spacecraft. But they call that pod, see if you saw this coming, integrity. So there's our core value. They only named it in December, so just a few weeks ago, and they decided that that pod would be called integrity. And there's a reason why they called it that, and I'm going to show you this quote from NASA. And this is what they said. The name integrity embodies the foundation of trust, respect, candour and humility across the crew and the many engineers, technicians, scientists, planners and dreamers required for mission success. So what they're saying is their integrity makes them work together. It isn't about the astronauts who are going to be up there in space. It isn't about NASA being like the greatest space exploration sort of body in the world. It isn't about that. It's about every single person. The people who first had the idea, the people who designed it, the people who worked on it, the people who win. All of those people together showing their integrity, having respect for each other, humility, knowing it's not just about them, but it's about them as a whole. Because if each and every one of them does their job well, has integrity and honesty and works to their best ability, then everybody is successful. And I like that. Oh, that was excellent. So good that I utterly stole it. We now have a Mr. Barrett quote, which is totally based on that. No apologies. Should probably let NASA know. But what I say is integrity embodies the trust, respect, honesty and humility shared by the students, teachers, staff members, parents, carers and families that will bring about success for the school and every child in it. Okay? And I firmly believe that. If we all have integrity and try our best at every point, we have that honesty and that humility to know when things aren't going well, we can seek help. If we all work together and make sure we look after each other and listen to each other, and what happens is we have a successful school. And in having a successful school, each and every one of you is successful. All of us together will make sure you do the best you can possibly do. You choose the right options in year 9. You'll get the best results when you leave in year 11. You'll go on to have the best futures and the best opportunities because we've done it together. And that's what I think integrity means. So that's what I'm asking of you over the course of this term and the rest of your school career. Work with the teachers, work with the staff, work with each other. Make sure that you show that integrity, that honesty, that humility. And by doing that, we'll all be incredibly successful. I do have one little thing that I want to say on the back of that, and that is in the integrity within school. As I said at the start of this assembly, I've been really impressed with how we've started. There's a little niggle about that, about some behaviours outside of school, to and from school. We have had reports from members of the public, some people who live locally, small number, and it may well be nobody in this room, I certainly hope not, but it's worth you knowing. Small number of members of the public in the local housing and also on local buses. That's scholars buses as well as the usual sort of public buses. Of students who've been a bit abusive, a bit swearing, maybe a little bit threatening either to each other or the members of the public. And I just ask that our integrity, the way we behave in school, that excellent behaviour, that excellent work together, I just ask that that has to continue. That has to continue, has to start when you leave the house before you arrive, and it has to continue until you get yourself home. Okay? Because it's a horrible little blot of what I think is an excellent year group in the next week's school. So thank you very much, year 9. And that will be perfect time. I think the bell will go literally